the goodness of God that leads us to repentance. God is the kindest person I've ever met in my life. The Bible says that God will discipline those who He loves. I love the way God disciplines me. If I won't listen, then God will get really kind. If I still won't listen, then God will beat me up with kindness till I'm driven to my knees. This is my testimony. You are the kindest person I ever met in my life. In your hiddenness, when you manifest, when you're all in all, when you're all I have. In the ebb and flow as we undulate, you'll never leave, you'll never forsake me. There's nothing I can bring. These empty hands are raised to worship you, my King, with a heart full of praise. This is my testimony. You are the kindest person I ever met in my life. When I wake, when I sleep, when I laugh and when I weep, when storms rage, friends falter, you stay the same. There's nothing I can bring. These empty hands are raised to worship you, my King, with a heart full of praise. This is my testimony. You are the kindest person I ever met in my life. Came to faith in Christ at the age of 30. And how that happened is, this was an interesting story. God sent a young drummer to my band. He was 20 years old. This 20-year-old rosy-faced young Christian kid. And I thought he wasn't having any fun. So I did my best to corrupt him. But he just faithfully served God, and he faithfully served me. A short while before God rescued me, my young friend, he went to the Lord in prayer and said, if you don't save this guy soon, I'm going to leave his band. And so God rescued me. Now when I got saved, I was somewhat of what hippies call an alien. I dropped out of school at a very young age. And the reason for that is I joined my first band when I was 14. By the time I was 15, I was making more money than my mom. My mom was an amazing woman. She worked 2 jobs to put my brother and myself to school. In the daytime, my mom was a doctor's receptionist. She'd come home in the evening, she'd have supper with us, and then she'd go out again. to go selling clothing door to door to put my brother and myself through school. Thank God for moms. And so I dropped out of school at the age of 16. For the next 14 years I lived this life of decadence. Now when I got saved, as I said, I didn't have much education, so I didn't know how to share my faith, but I was full of the zeal of God. I was one of those Christians was in everybody's face. I wouldn't go away. And the first victim of my zeal was my mother. And my mom lived up in Saldanha Bay. And I remember I drove up there to go and share the gospel with my mom. As I said, I didn't quite know how to do this, but anyway, I arrived at my mom's door and I said this to her. I said, Mom, I've got some good news for you, and I've got some bad news for you. She said, what's that, my boy? And I said, well, the good news is I've got saved, I'm going to heaven. The bad news, you're not, you're going to hell. Thank God for the grace of God. I've learned over the years, I don't think God's really interested in how clever we are. I think God is far more interested in our faithfulness and our obedience. My mom saw through my stupidity, and God touched her in any way. She gave her life to Jesus right there and then. She served God for the rest of her days. The next victim of my zeal was a friend of mine who fixed up buildings on the inside. So I thought I'd write a song for him to let him know what God had done for me on the inside, a song called Interior Decorator. Interior Decorator, oh what a perfect creator. I know I'm not much on the outside, inside I'm a brand new man, and I got to recreate spirits. This almighty God, life within it. I know I'm not much on the outside, inside I'm a brand new man who knows, doesn't quite understand what's going on, can't stop it, I'm falling in love. You say it's a little bit crazy, you say what you like, nothing can faze me. I know that I know that I know you'll never change my mind, and I don't claim to understand it. Interior decorator, planet, I know I'm not much on the outside, inside of a brand new man who knows, doesn't quite understand what's going on, can't stop it, I'm falling in love. Decorator, oh what a perfect creator. I know I'm not much on the outside, inside I'm a brand new man, and I got to recreate his spirits. This almighty God, life in it. I know I'm not much on the outside, inside I'm a brand new man who knows, doesn't quite understand what's going on, can't stop it, I'm falling in love. What's going on, can't stop it, I'm falling in love. What's going on, can't stop it, I'm falling in love. now you must just imagine this. Vera was 30 years old, regenerated hippie, and I'd never done honest day's work in my life. All I could do was sing and write songs. And so I didn't know how God was going to provide for me and my family. I thought maybe God would take me from being a successful secular musician and make me a successful Christian musician. For the next 19 years, I never sang in public. During this time, God was building some character into me, and preparing me for this time. At the age of 49, God called me into ministry. And I've been traipsing around the world ever since then, just sharing the goodness of God wherever anyone will listen. And during those 19 years, even though I wasn't singing or performing in public, I had a reputation in the industry of being a reasonable singer and songwriter. And so I started being commissioned to write songs for television commercials, and that started a whole career thing for me for a number of years. And God works in mysterious ways. It's an interesting story that came about. That was the first of many television commercials that I did. And how that one happened is they spent a few million making that commercial. You know, it's much longer than most commercials. And they wanted to use the Beatles song for the soundtrack. So they negotiated with the Beatles. After a while they found out they couldn't afford them, so they came to me. I have a wonderful family. God has blessed me. I have a fantastic wife, 4 children, 2 grandchildren. We've been on a journey. I'm going to share some of that journey with you this morning. The song I'm going to sing for you now is a song that I wrote for my daughter, my little girl. Her name is Pia. She's a lot like me in a number of ways. A song called You and Me.
Drop the hills. You only need to look my way. Need to know what you're thinking. That's the way it is between me and you. You got me, I got you. You and me, we're made the same. We got things to lose, we got things to
born was 3 years before I became a Christian. It was this point in my life that I believed that God took a hold of my heart and started revealing himself to me. My dad lived up in Natal, and I lived here in the Cape. As a young man, I had a number of albums out. I was quite well known as a young man, and so my music would always be played on the radio, and my name would often be in the newspaper for doing things that musicians do. So I toured around South Africa promoting my music, and every year I go to the town where my father lived. It was always my intention one day to meet my dad, start a relationship with him. This went on for a number of years, every year the same resolve. This was going to be the year that I'd meet my father. One day I got a call to tell me my dad was dead. So I had to go and bury him. When I got to the funeral, it was a very strange, surreal experience. I was a stranger at my father's funeral. I knew nobody there. I asked my uncle, I'd met him, I could see my father's body. I wanted to see what he looked like. I'd never seen any pictures of him. So my uncle informed me that my dad had drunk himself to death, that he looked awful. So I never got to see my father. My father was a school teacher. He was a relief substitute school teacher, and because of this, he never lived in a house. He lived in a residential hotel room. And so I went to my father's hotel room to go and see if I could find anything there that I could take home and bring home and show to my family something of my father's life. While I was looking through my dad's stuff, I found a whole bunch of newspaper cuttings about myself. And there were letters from my school. My father had obviously written to the school to find out how I was doing. And they responded. And so it turns out that my dad followed my whole life. We never met. So when my first son was born, I said this thing's never going to happen again. I wrote this next song for him when he was born.
I've got stars in my eyes. I've got so much love I can't disguise how I feel. Want to, everything revolves around you, and your love set me free. Now I know how it feels to be alive. You got me on your side. You've got someone to confide in, and I will never let you down. I will always be around, and your love, let me go. I know how it feels to be alive. And all the games that I used to play seem so far away. I was half, now I know I'm whole. You fill my heart, you fill my soul. And all the games that I used to play seem so far away. way. I was half, now I know I'm home. You fill my heart, you fill my soul. And I've got stars in my eyes. I've got so much love I can't disguise. How I feel, want you. Everything revolves around you, and your love set me free. Now I know how it feels to be alive. Because of my son's sporting abilities, he got a scholarship to go to a very exclusive private school. At that school, as a young Christian man, my son thought he could do anything he liked with his life. There he started experimenting with drugs. By the time my son was 21 years old, he was a crack cocaine addict. He had a habit that was costing him a huge amount of money. He stole everything we had as a family to support his habit. We had drug dealers phoning our house, threatening to kill him if we wouldn't pay them the money they owed him, and so we paid him. One time I was out of town, my wife and my daughter had to go to a crack house to go and fetch my daughter's cell phone. This is how we lived. Because during this time we learned the most about our God. We learned the difference between Christian cliches and Christian reality. And we began to understand what the peace of God is that transcends all understanding. Towards the end of this episode, my son, being this happy-go-lucky young man with everything going for him, he'd sit in a public toilet at Sea Point, sit there all night long smoking crack. Now the nature of this drug is you binge, you either run out of money, or you go into a drug-induced coma, or you die. So every night my son would go out. We'd never know if this would be the last time we'd ever see him. One evening, the strain of this became too much for my wife and myself, and so I took my son to a place called the Ark. It's a ministry for homeless people here in Cape Town. I thought perhaps I could help my son there. I can remember the two of us were sitting outside in the street outside this place, and I was about to drop my son off there and just leave him there and wash my hands of him. And then God reminded me of the words in the song that I wrote for him when he was born, that I'd never let him down. So I turned the car around and I took my boy home. A short while after that, God rescued him. He's once again faithfully serving God and is a father of my 2 grandchildren. God is faithful. This next song I'm going to sing is a song that I wrote while the storm was raging in the life of my family. It's a song called Get Over It. I was feeling very sorry for myself. I had this images of holes everywhere. There's a hole in my soul and a hole in the roof and a hole in the floor. Just holes everywhere. And then God showed me a wonderful thing. I'll get over it. It's just a matter of time. Err is human, to forgive is divine. There's a hole in my soul, needs some fixing. There's a song in my head, needs remixing. There's a hole in the roof, the rain comes in. There's a crack in the floor, I keep falling in, but I'm forgive is divine. There's a dent in my pride. It took a beating, we were on the same side. You were cheating, you were sleeping with dogs, picking up fleas, taking what you want, and never said please. I'll get over it. It's just a matter of time. To err is human, so forgiveness divine. So hold in the dark where the light comes through. So hold in my shoe from following you. You got holes in your hands, holes in your feet, and wounds in your back. Where they beat, there is blood on the tree. You were ashamed for the crime of the world. You were blamed, and I'll never get over it. It's a mystery for all time. So there is human, so forgiveness divine. Get over it. It's just a matter of time. So there is human, so forgiveness divine. Thanks. Well, today's Mother's Day. As I said, thank God for moms. And I was being interviewed on the radio one time, and the guy was interviewing me, said to me, can you prove to me that God exists? I said, yes, my wife, she's living proof that God exists. She's the most wonderful mom and the most wonderful wife. And this is a song I wrote for her called Living Proof. I'm singing this to all your husbands, to all your wives from your husbands. I got a crush on you, baby. I start to gush when I speak your name. They told me the stuff wears out, so how come I still feel the same? From day I set eyes on you, there were never a doubt. I always knew that this is how it would be. I got you and you got me. You're living proof that God exists, and how much He must love me. I can move a mountain, and I can walk on the sea, and bring out the best in me. Infatuation, I don't think so anymore. We've been around the block a few times, looks like going around some more. Knowing everything you knew, you still chose to see it through. You put your trust in me. You saw all that I could be. You're living proof that God exists, and how much He must love me. I can move a mountain, and I can walk on the sea. You bring out the best in me. I believe in you and me. I believe in the family. I believe nothing happens by chance. I believe in this romance. You're living proof that God exists. How much He must love.
Oh, by the way, it's just Tony Draker, doesn't he play beautifully? I always say to people, he takes my black and white sketches and paints the most beautiful colors behind them, and I'm grateful for him. I have an adopted son, and he came to us when he was 4 years old. How it happened is this way: he was my oldest son's best friend, and his two 4-year-old boys who would play together. His mom had some issues, and I was counseling her at that time. I was a baby Christian, and I was doing the best that I could, but after a while the situation became unbearable for her, so she abandoned the 3 children at an orphanage here in Cape Town. So we go on weekends, we go fetch my son's best friend, and we bring him home to come and play. After a short while, he just seamlessly integrated into our family. He became our son. His mom came back on the scene when he was 7 years old, and because I never knew my father, I thought it'd be good for him to spend time with his biological mom, so she'd take him away on weekends. After a while, we found out that a boyfriend was molesting him. So we'd stop her from seeing her own child. Now, before this time, she viewed my wife and myself as this wonderful Christian couple. She didn't say enough good things about us because we looked after her children. But because I had to stop her from seeing her son, she developed a deep hatred for us. Every time she'd phone him, she'd poison his mind against us. She'd tell him we'd stolen him from her. He was just a little boy when he came to us. So he didn't know any better. On his 18th birthday, he ran away from home to be with his mom. After 2 weeks, she kicked him out, and he was too proud to come home. And so he just kept running. We haven't seen him now for well over 10 years. Normally I'll never sing a song about anything until God has brought the situation to resolution, but I've walked with God now for over 30 years, and I've learned that God is faithful, and God will finish what He started. So this is a song of great hope. Here's another reason I sing a song. It struck me when I was writing these words, how much the story sounds like us and God, and how we run from Him. He wants us to run too. Anytime you want, you can come home. I want you to know you're not alone. And I wonder where you are. Do you still have the scar? I wonder what your memories are of home. You may not have my blood in your veins, but I'm so proud to bear my name, and I will call you son. Call me Dad. I will ask our Father to send you home. One day when you finally find your way to the place where all your tears are wiped away, start to breathe, and all that you will need brings you home.
and all your hopes and dreams will come true, and you're never alone. You just pick up the phone. Remember, there is no place like home. Remember, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Remember, my youngest son, his name is Daniel, and he's a funny guy. He came to me when he was 14 years old. I was busy recording one of my previous CDs at that time, and he was very cross, very upset that I hadn't written a song for him yet. So I wrote this next song for him, and I called him into my room to play the song for him. He sat at the foot of my bed, and I started singing the song to him. We got as far as the first chorus, and we both started crying. So I said to me, Dad, please take the song off the CD. He was very concerned what his friends were going to do to him when they heard his father singing him a love song. So I told him that I would take the song off the CD. A short while after that, one Sunday morning, I was singing in our local church, and my son was there with his 3 girlfriends. He said to me, Dad, he said, if you play that song, I'll kill you. I played it anyway. Fortunately for me, 3 girlfriends, I went up to him after the meeting and I said, you must be an amazing person. Your father to speak of you this way. So I came back and he said I could put the song back on the CD. Which is where it is. But we parents, we make a strange transition around about this time in our children's lives. When our kids are 9 or 10 years old, they look up to us, oh God, say nothing wrong, do nothing wrong, because some people will never figure out. When our kids get to be about 13 or 14, we parents, we wake up one morning and discover we know nothing anymore. You'll hear me talk of that as the song goes on, the song called Daniel. You may not understand the things I do, know this one thing. What I do for you. I have no other motive. My heart is pure in a never changing world. Know this one thing for sure. Daniel, you are in my eyes the gift of God's, the prize, my heavenly reward. Here on earth, you'll never know, my little friend, what you are worth. When I come home sometimes, I find you asleep. I sit by your side and ask my God to keep you safe from harm, make you strong in a never-changing world. Oh, somewhere you belong, Daniel, you are in my eyes the gift of God's, the prize, my heavenly reward. just recently I went from deity to knowing nothing at all. No more hugs, only handshakes. My biggest fan just became a man. Daniel, in my eyes, a gift of God's, the prize, my heavenly reward. Here on earth, you'll never know my little friend, know my little friend, what you are worth.
Thank you.
I remember the days of my life. I recall the faces, mostly yours. Magic moments, life was a mystery. There's no place in it that we'd rather be. Moving up, going through some changes, storing up the memories. Then you gave me the line of my life. I always gave the best I could give. Sometimes it never seemed like enough, but we then could plan to go and got tough. You remember where it used to be? Never counting the cost was a matter of trust. Covenant cut with love is for life. There's still better story. Do you still carry the knife? I remember the days of my life. I recall the faces, mostly yours. Magic moments.